did though, because I had made friends up in Hamburg, which was a big seaport town.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we used to have some parties up there, people coming from everywhere. But I went to, got on the train and went up to Hamburg. Yeah, I went to Hamburg, and there was some brothers from Africa there who uh, who would ship arms, back, take arms back to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And they found out I was there, and this woman that I knew there, she was translating different stuff for me. And they were telling me that if I wanted to stay, I could stay in Hamburg, Germany with them, and we could I could join them in shipping arms and stuff back to I guess to Africa. But I didn't. I came on back, and that yeah. When I came back, my mind I changed a whole lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm.
but then when I got to Minneapolis, this is when I really started making my transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I happened to be sitting in the college room. I got in there early in college because it snowed and everything else. It was cold.
Right.
And I was sitting in my English class, and this dude came in, big dude, came in. He looked around. He said, "What's your name?" I said, "Marvin Crenshaw." He said, "Where are you from?" I said, I'm from Texas." And he left and walked on out. He came back the next morning and was saying, "Tex, do you know anything about Minnesota, Minneapolis?" I said, "No." He said, "Come on, let's ride before the class started." And when he got in the car, we had eight tracks there. And he put that Ballad of the Bullet in.
Right.
And
Malcolm X.
yeah. That just took me, by that just started my transformation. And every morning I would be in the room waiting for him to come in, and he would always come get me. We'd ride around Minneapolis, and he was playing his music, and then I was reading, doing a lot of reading. I was reading. You ever read Man, Child of the Promised Land?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what one of the books that everybody was reading in around '68. Man, Child in the Promised Land, and so I got to everyone that I would talk to him, he would be boom, Malcolm and the party and Black Panther Party,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And so I became an activist on campus there.
In Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis, yeah, Augsburg College, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I became an activist, and so we were active. We take over the classes in the morning, and one class, this teacher used to tell us all the time. He said, "If y'all stop this, I'll automatically give you an A." Well, it was a speech class, and every morning we could make a 3-minute speech on anything we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, with Black Panther Party newspaper 10-point program, each one of us in that class would take one of the points.
Mm.
And he was saying, just stop this, and I'll give you whatever. But the older brother that I told you that I met, he's the one that really started everything in Minneapolis. I remember one day, it was almost summer, school was out, and he stopped me and he said, "Tex, I'm going somewhere, and when I come back, I want to talk to you." I said, "Okay." So he went, and I didn't see him for a day or two, and he came back, and he said, "I want to show you something." He hit his truck, boom. There were 2 boxes of Black Panther Party newspapers in there.
Mm.
And he said, "This is what I'm going to be doing, and I want to know if you want to join me." I said, "Sure." And so he gave me some papers, and I went home and started reading them. And didn't stop for days. And then that's when he started starting a Panther Party there.
In
Chapter.
Minneapolis. In Minneapolis.
Another chapter, but in Minneapolis, and it was. I mean, at that time in Minneapolis, I would say it was about 10% black.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to get my papers and go downtown every day and sell them, And I remember one day I was surrounded by members of the John Birch Society.
Mm.
Yeah, and they would say, "Why don't you leave our good Negroes alone up here and take that stuff back down south where you from?" And when Bobby Seale went to Chicago for trial
in '68.
Yeah, 68. Kenneth Burton Moe, that's his name was Moe. That's what they called him. He said, "We're going to have to do something about this." So we had a big rally up there, and
this is for the Chicago 8. Is this for the Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago 8. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And we had a big rally, but always basically too, we were pushing the party line,
Right.
And so he was saying, "We're going to have somebody to speak." And he looked at me and said, "Crenshaw, I want you to be you be the speaker." I said, "Man, I don't know anything about speaking." And he said, "Well, you speaking every day in these classes, And he said, "I'll do is I'll help you, So he started writing them out and different things. And so I became the primary speaker up there. And the brothers from Chicago, what's his name? Billy. He's in I see him sometimes. Billy.
Che.
Who?
Che.
Yeah, Che. Yes, Che. He would come down from Chicago, bring the papers down there, and sort of. Yeah, it was Che. Yeah, it sure was. And so I would be the primary speaker. Now, and what happened? That was a lot of sisters there that were from Chicago.
Right.
The first time I heard of the I can't think of it. It's a religious group.
Moors.
Who?
The Moor Science Temple.
No, not the Moors. It was just something that now it's I'll think of it. Some kind of Baptist Methodist.
Okay.
And she was going to school with us. And then this is the time when Eldridge Cleaver moved to Florida. Huey Newton was in prison. And so me and Mo would sit down every day. He had a little tape, and I would be speaking. He would just be, And so I was a primary speaker for the group. But this sister used to tell me all the time. She said, "Marvin, I'm gonna tell you something. I used to love to hear you speak, but every time now, all you do is using curse words and so that stayed with me for a while, and then I stopped doing it, and then that's when some tension started developing between me and Mo, because he said, "Marvin, Crenshaw, I can see that you changing things. You're not saying the way I wrote it."
Right.
And I wasn't. So anyway, that was all a big thing. But you want to ask any questions or anything?
You got a question on that?
It was more towards, as Dallas is kind of going through conflict, but you're kind of leading into the
I'm leading into that.
Yeah, so it was going to be more so around 73 or leading up to 73 before Santos Rodriguez gets killed, and this kind of ends up becoming something that ends up building coalition between black and brown communities. I wanted to know, prior to that, I know there was conflict between the black and brown communities, like you had the LULAC, and I forgot the other one, where they were pretty much like, and the simulation is...
Brown Berets?
If they were, I wasn't sure.
To the party.
Yeah, but I guess I want to ask you, like, was there any steps being made towards that coalition prior to the murder of Santos Rodriguez, or was that kind of like the Kickstarter?
Well, when I came to Dallas, I left Minneapolis in 1970.
In 1970, okay.
And when I came to Dallas, I was just, I'd read about Curtis Gaines and one of the points, that's when they had the break in there. I read about Curtis Gaines and I guess they call it a split. When I came to Dallas, I didn't get involved in anything. I was just watching and seeing what was going on. But when that happened with Santos, I was down there at that rally, you know, when they had it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that much about what was going on in Dallas. You know? I was still just looking and at what was going on. But it wasn't that much of a. I mean, I thought at that time that that everything was united when it came to Santos. And I remember seeing when I came to Dallas, as usual, I just kind of looked back and to see what was going on. I went over to Graham's Barber Shop, which was on Forest Avenue then, which is Martin Luther King.
Right.
And I remember seeing Donald Lister, Ed Harris, and somebody else. They were
These original members of the
Dallas.
Dallas
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I knew who they were, and I remember seeing them. But I was just out and just actively just looking to see what was going on before I jumped into anything.
Okay.
So, and I didn't. Well, I met brothers. You ever heard of karaoke? Okay. Don, what's his name? He's a historian.
Donald Payton.
Payton. And all of them who were artists, you know. I started going through that different thing. That's when I sort of was branching out. And one of the issues that they were in was the whole liberation movement in Africa, in South Africa, Mozambique, Angola, and around there. And so I used to go to their meetings all the time until one day. So I'm sort of just one day I was at home, and there was this white boy that came by, and he had some newspapers. I used to, on Jefferson Avenue, I used to go down there every day when I came home from this little job I was working in, and I would go in there, and this lady Gondi would have all kind of hippie newspapers, underground newspapers. And so I read about this man named Fred Bell and Ernest McMillan. And Charlie Young was telling me about both of them. They were two of the leading revolutionaries in the city, but both of them were locked up. Now, and I'll skip forward and get into this in Dallas. And I was about 72. Well, my oldest daughter was going to this nursery school, and Althea, Mr. Minka's first wife, was working there. And so they were telling me about Fred Bell. And Charlie Young came by to my house again. I could always hear him because he wore these big old boots, you know, I could hear him coming. And he would bring me the Bulldog Patriot newspaper, which I would read all the time and read about it.
It's fun. It's interesting. You and Mr. Confonso talking about the same thing.
No.
It's interesting. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But he would always be telling me about Fred Bell. And so then I was getting out more and more, and I was sort of just speaking more. And so one day, and I'm going to go up to what I think you want to hear, we're getting talked about. This man came up, they knocked on my door, and I went to the door. I said, "Who is it?" And it was, he said, "Fred Bell," you know. He said, "You know, I've heard about you used to be in the Black Panther Party, or you want to join the party. I'm going to start a chapter here." And in the car with him was Charles Hillman, Antoinette, what was Antoinette's? What was Antoinette's name? Anyway,
Strauss?
No.
Oh, someone else.
Yeah, this young
Okay.
sister. She and Mr. Minka worked together in legal service. So it was Charles, Antoinette, and one of Charles' homeboys. He went to Chester Mitchell. They went to high school. They went to high school together. And Mr. Minka was telling me that he had heard that, you know, I used to work with the party and et cetera, and he was thinking about joining. And I mean, he asked me would I join. I told him I didn't know, you know. I just have to see some things. But anyway, as that was going on, Mr. Fonso and Mr. Skip and all of them, Reverend Haynes, Leroy Haynes, they were down in Denton.
Right.
But they would come to Dallas and sell their papers downtown.
Right.
And I used to always be down there getting me one, you know. But anyway, once Mr. Minka, and I'll tell you somebody who knows the history, if you'll talk about it, along with Curtis Gaines and all of them is Ozumba, Marvin Walton.
Ozumba?
You talk to him? Not Ozumba, what's his name? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Odinga?
Odinga. Odinga.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Odinga?
I haven't.
Well, you should talk to Odinga because he knows he was there with Curtis Gaines. He and Donald Lister, real good friends.
He mixed.
Yeah, they went together. they went to Lincoln together, you know.
Right.
But he was there. He knew all about it, and he was with Reverend Haynes and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
He has a long history, and he was always going back and forth to Oakland. You know?
Right.
Even after everything had fallen here, Odinga.
Yeah, we're gonna get Odinga next.
Yeah, but anyway, as I said, I used to see him downtown selling papers all the time, and I would always go down there and get me one.
Mm-hmm.
And kept going. But then when Mr. Minka came by, and I didn't really know him, and but I used to talk to some different people about Mr. Minka, and then any of them want to join the chapter with Mr. Minka. Didn't any of them did.
Mm-hmm.
They was always saying he wasn't no Black Panther. He was a snake.
Right.
But see, yeah. But so Mr. Minka had told me, he said, you know, I know you've had some experience with the party. You be the assistant, what they call us at that time, but within the party, you know. And I said, okay. And when we set out, and Miss Minka went up to Oakland and came back. He said, I'm gonna be gone for a couple of weeks. He came back with party papers and everything. And our first party house was in South Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, and it was shambles.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in it, and he said, we need somebody to stay here at night, and you know, so I did. And that's when I met Steve out of Houston. Steve's name, I see him all the time now. Anyway, he was with Mr. Creer.
Mm-hmm.
They know each other.
Right.
But they came up, and they were saying, well, what is this? I mean, it's not no party house.
Right.
I mean, because it was, man, that thing was shambles.
Right. Right.
And I was over there every night, and you know.
That's over there Second Street.
On the side, on those side streets. I think we looked for it that time when you came. Yeah.
We did.
But then Mr. Minka came after Steve left, and I think they probably had a talk. And then we got that big house over there anyway, we got a big 2-story house,
Mm-hmm.
and then Mr. Minka used to give PE classes and other things, and I was a co-coordinator. But anyway, I haven't gone into this in a long time. But anyway, my job was make sure all those papers were sold.
Right.
That's what I had expertise. I loved doing that. Downtown, we would be on one corner, the nation would be on the other corner. Downtown and by H.L. Greens, you know, selling those papers. Yeah.
Mm.
And even, you know, Bobby Humphrey's brother, I know you know him because he and your father were probably running together. You know, I can't think of his name. But anyway, they would be on one corner.
Right. Nation Brothers.
Mm-hmm. And then in fact, this brother and myself, when we were both down at El Centro together, we used to laugh about it, you know, because at that time we were out on the corner, who's gonna sell the most papers? You know?
Right.
and so we just got to know each other. But I knew a lot of Muslims from the nation.
Right.
You know, still do. You want any questions you want to ask me?
Okay. So tell me a little bit, if you could, about when the transition that took place in South Dallas to eventually moving the headquarters to West Dallas.
Oh, okay. I wasn't in the party at that time.
Okay.
I got purged.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, we skipped that
No,
part.
but that's important.
Okay, go ahead.
That's
Whatever
important.
you
I'd
want to
gotten purged.
Okay.
Oh,
I'd gone up to Texas Tech. My first time going up, and certain things called Bobby Seale was coming in to speak there, and so we got everything set up, and I came back, and then when Bobby Seale was going to actually they were having the event. I remember I came by and I talked to Mr. Minka, and I said, when I get back, I want to talk to you about something. And I knew Mr. Minka was a karate man himself, you know. And I noticed when I was talking, he kind of moved back.
Judo.
And, yeah, so I'm not one, but I know the thing. I said, I want to talk to you when I come back. And so, like I said, that was my second time going up there to set it up. There was a brother by the name of Charles Bronson.
He from like Sacramento. He from California.
Yeah, California. Yeah,
he from California.
So the second time I went up there, Bronson was there.
Probably Sacramento.
Sacramento, exactly right. When I went up there, Bronson was there, and we got to talking. And he said, "Marvin Crenshaw, tell me what's going on down in Dallas," you know. And so we would just talk every time when I was there, and he was making sure that papers were getting ready to be at the event at Texas Tech, and I've never talked to nobody about this since then, nothing overall. But so one day I came in, and Bronson was saying, "Marvin Crenshaw, you got to go. You got to go back to Dallas." I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "Bell is stated that you're a FBI agent." And he said, "Why in the hell would he send somebody he thought was an FBI agent up here to be with the one of the founders of the party?"
Right.
And so he said, "You got to go back." And when they came back, they came down the next day. They had a press conference, and I was supposed to be going back, but I always wanted to see Bobby Seale do a press conference. I always wanted to see that. And so I was up there watching, and this brother came over, what was his name? Because he was out of the Seattle chapter. He was a karate man.
When the Dixon brothers?
Well, he was with the Dixon brothers, but his name was, he's deceased now. But he came over and he said, "Brother, I'm going to tell you one more time. You need to leave and go back to Dallas." And the chairman said, "If you got problems, you write a letter up to John Seale."
Bobby Seale's brother.
Bobby Seale's brother. And so when I got back to get my clothes and stuff, Bronson was telling me the same thing. He said, "I don't know, what in the hell Bell's thinking." Again, he said, sending somebody up here that he thinks is a pig to meet for. But then anyway, he was just telling me also the chain of command is. But when I got back, Mr. Minka and some brothers from West Dallas were coming up, and so by the time they got there, I got on a bus and was back in Dallas, and then I eventually left,
Right.
So.
What year was this?
This was 73, 72, 73.
Gotcha.
And so I left. And that it hurt me more than anything in my life.
So let's fast forward a little bit. 1980. So just correct me if I'm wrong. You got Al Lipscomb, who we know has been active at least since 70, 71, more likely before that.
Yeah.
You got the what you got J.B. Jackson, and then you got the councilwoman,
Miss Higgins.
Miss Higgins, whom you were close with. If you could kind of explain that relationship, and how was you able to kind of, not saying that they were like at odds or anything like that between the two individuals, but those some big giants. You got J.B. Jackson, Al Lipscomb, and Miss Higgins, and you kind of around all three of those individuals at the same time. How did that come to be?
I used to see them when I was in the party because they would all the big meetings. Place was over at the Martin Luther King Center.
And which was called, was it Rhodes at the time?
It was what was it called? Forest Avenue, something. I don't know. But anyway, I was always over there. That was the headquarters that for Mr. Jackson and that group. But see, and one thing that I always try to explain to people is that with Mr. Menke, when I was in the party, he and Mr. Jackson used to talk all the time, and he would always tell me that Mr. Jackson was a genius. You know, they called him the boy genius. So I'd gone through that with a couple of their meetings, and all those sisters over there did not play. All of them carried a piece in their purse.
Carried a pistol.
Even when Miss Hagan was on the city council. And I'm gonna skip forward for a second. One day I was assigned to her, and when the council meeting was over, she pulled me to the side. Mr. Crenshaw, go over and go and get my purse. And I said, okay. And I went over there. I think she had a 38 in there. It was heavy. She wanted me to get it before the security came up there. But no, that was a very dangerous time. And no, they were always better. The women could shoot just like a man.
Right.
And in there, and there's a whole lot of sisters in there, a whole lot of elders in there. They were, but see, by the time they got to the council, they've been working together for about 25 or 30 years doing the homeowners thing. What do they call it? I don't know if it's the Fair Park homeowners thing, but they had gotten there. And Mrs. Lipscomb had run for mayor and everything else.
Tell me this. Me and Devontae and other people, kind of from the community perspective, Devontae was more so the face. Led the effort to rename Lamar Street to Bobby John, which you are aware of. In terms of what you all did with Oakland, Forest Avenue, and correct me if I'm wrong, that was 1980 that came about. How did the Martin Luther King Street name change? How did that come to be?
Well, and this is very important to know, is that there were three of us. All of us had been in the party who started that whole thing. That was that was Odinga, Charles Hillman, myself, and what's Charlie Hall's name?
Khalif Hassan.
Mr. Hassan.
Right.
We had all been talking about doing something together in as far as a party. And we used to meet over Mr. Hassan's apartment over on Travis Street. He lived on Travis, and he was working with the city at that time. And our goal in our meetings is what could we do to wake up the black community and have unity in the community. And it came up that we wanted to change Forest Avenue, which was going all the way into Oak Cliff, going across the bridge. We all said Malcolm X. And Mr. Hassan said, no, we're not going to do that because of the fact these they're not going to go for they don't really want the street change. They definitely not gonna go for Malcolm X.
Right.
And we all had our little vote, and we all went with on Malcolm. I mean on Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
I was dating this sister who's my daughter's mother at this time.
Mm-hmm.
She worked with the city of Dallas, and so we needed some petitions drawn up and everything. And so I laid it out to her, and she went down and got everything ready for us. Right. And that's we started that process. But in the meantime, in starting that process, Mr. Jackson and all of them, they were on the Martin Luther King Jr. board, the board over there.
Right.
And so I would go by there, we'd get signatures and everything. But I had gone, but what happened is that Ernie Macmillan, he had his group here, the Communist Party Marxist Leninists.
Mm-hmm.
They were sending everybody to China who wanted to go. And Ernie kept telling me, he said, Marvin, why don't you go? And I said, no, I got other things to do. And then I remember him coming by with Mr. Menker. Came by with me. He finally convinced me because at El Centro we had our little power group down there, mm-hmm. and his mother came down there to speak. Mama Mac came to speak one time, mm-hmm. and she gave a very powerful speech about China and what was going on. And then did you know Quincy Williams? You heard of him?
Mm-mm.
Well, he and Ernie.
That's who got arrested and went to Africa.
Yeah. And Quincy had just come back, and he was talking about it also. But I knew Ernie Macmillan's, his wife, his sister Jackie, her husband was named Charles Hill, and our birthdays was on January 10th.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we always would get together and go talk. And he was the one that introduced me he was the one that introduced me to Miss Hagen's group.
Mm.
But Ernie came by and he talked me with his mother into going to China.
Okay.
So I went to China, and I came back. I was asking about the street name change, and this sister named Billy Washington, who was with Mr. Menker. Mm-hmm. Mr. Menker's Elsie Hagen.
Right.
But she anyway, I went to China. I came back and I was talking to her, and I said, well, how's the street name thing? She said, Marvin, they're not going to do anything. If only way this is going to happen is if you initiate it. But I also, when I got from China, I went to Hawaii. Some sisters invited me to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. We were in China. I was in China with, mm-hmm. And so I went over to Hawaii for about a week. Mm-hmm. And tell me, how am I doing on time?
No, go ahead.
And I went